The path to the mountain turns out to be less simple than the map made it look. First a trail takes me along the raw waterfront, and then it turns upwards through a small forested area. Being among the trees and their tall shadows makes me feel at home. When the path leaves the wood again, I'm a little disappointed. It leads up a paved road, so I stick to the edge to avoid passing cars. Sometimes I take a shortcut through yards or up unmarked paths. There are quite a few nice looking homes right along the roadside. I make a mental note to go check them out when I'm low on money or food. Not much further along, a concrete lookout offers another glimpse of the city below. A couple airships are coming to dock at the skyport, probably from one of the other floating islands. There's still a ways to go to the top of the mountain, but luckily the walk has been easy so far. I wouldn't even consider it a hike. Eventually, I reach the final stretch of road. I can see where it curves ahead to the summit, and I hurry to the end. A metal railing spreads out like a crown on top of the mountain. As I go to toss my empty cup away, a pair of chatting tourists pass me by.
How far is it from here?
Oh, about an hour from the base of Mount Victoria, so a bit further from here.
Mount Victoria.
I'm glad to know what this place is called. I say the name out loud to help commit it to memory. Standing at the edge, I'm treated to a wonderful view of Wellington. The city forms a crescent moon shape around the bay, which glitters like a sapphire from up here. The sun is starting to set, and that makes the water even more shimmery. Even more airships can be seen coming and going. I think that I can even see the edge of the floating island we're on miles out in the open sky. I survey the city using a skyport as a reference point. From up here, what felt like such a long chase really doesn't look far at all. If I strain my eyes, I think I can even see the coffee shop from earlier. What was it the barista said? It was called the Bell House, I think? It's kind of tough to make out the details. My hearing and sense of smell may be great, but my eyes aren't that much better than a human's. Then I notice something useful.
Look! Is that our house?
Probably. What can you see from here?
I see Dad's car!
Not too far away, there's a little kid who's using a pair of metal tubes attached to a post. His mom is helping him aim it at the city. It must be something that improves your vision. Your vision, not your vision. The moment the kid and his mom leave, I hurry over before someone else can get to them first. When I press my eyes to the same spot that the child did, though, all I can see is black. I try moving it around, but it doesn't change. Is this thing busted? Some text is printed on the side. I have no idea what it says. There's a small slot, though, with a picture of a coin next to it. Lucky for me, it's the coin that has a 50 on it. I put the coin that I received from the barista into the slot and spin the lever. The machine eats my coin, and then when I put my eyes to it again...
Yes!
Everything looks much closer now. Even the trees on the other side of the hill appear in crystal clear detail, like I'm standing right next to them. I aim the viewing glasses at the city and look around, trying to find a good place to rest for the night. Houses are a no-go. Even if they look empty or abandoned, you can never let your guard down for a minute. Same with most shops. I don't have enough money for a hotel, and I won't risk sneaking into one of those either. As I'm studying the sights, trying to memorize as much as I can, there's a clicking sound, and once again, the view goes black. Stupid machine. I smack it a couple of times and check again, but I still can't see anything.
Well, whatever.
Whatever.
Looks like I'm sleeping outside tonight. Guess this place is as good as any.
I head back down the trail a little bit and veer off it into the underbrush.
Not perfect, but it'll do.
It's not exactly the wilderness, but just about everything around here seems city-fied to some extent. Usually when I make a den, I prefer to find a place far from other people, a place where nobody will find me. I doubt I'll find anything perfect, but this is good enough.
It's fine. Can't afford to be picky.
Once the trail I was on is out of sight, I transform again. My neck gets warm as my bead activates, and a few seconds later, I'm on all fours. As a fox, the sensations of nature are much stronger. The earth beneath my paws is cool and refreshing, and the breeze whips through my tail like a massage. I hurry down a hill covered in grass so tall that it reaches way over my head. I can smell fresh water and follow the scent to a small stream where I'm able to quench my thirst. It's just as satisfying as the drink I got at that cafe, but in a different way. And being able to slurp up water is way more enjoyable than having to use a straw. Or worse, one of those lids with the tiny holes. For a little while I follow my nose to some berries and some edible plants that'll do for a snack. Unfortunately, unlike the water, foraging is never as satisfying as eating human food. If I want a real meal tonight, then I should pick up the pace before it gets too late. Still, I want to get this done now, while there's still daylight. I keep close to the stream and search for a place where the ground is soft. Before too long, I find a promising area, a small valley with hills on most sides, and thick foliage on the others. I'm still close enough to civilization to hear cars and other city noise, but the area I'm in doesn't seem like it gets visited very often. At the very least, it doesn't really smell like people. The spot that I settle on is a nice mound of earth near the edge of the woods, partially hidden by a tall tree with low-hanging leaves. Even if no one came by, it makes me feel better knowing that I'll be out of sight. And so I start to dig. My claws rip apart the dirt as I burrow downwards, widening the tunnel just enough for my sleek frame to fit. First I dig forward and then downwards, widening out an area that's big enough for my whole body to fit. This is something I've been doing my whole life, even back when I was just a regular fox. I think that's why I don't mind it too much, compared to sleeping inside somewhere. It just feels right to me. Aww. It takes a little while, and by the time I'm finally finished, the first few stars have started to peek out from the sky. I shake myself clean of the dirt that sticks to my coat and then transform back into my human form.
Spread this here, a couple of branches here, some leaves there.
I walk around the valley a bit, checking from different angles.
Not bad for just an afternoon's work.
If you weren't looking for it, I don't think you'd ever notice anything out of place. All that digging has made me work up an appetite, and not the kind that'll be satisfied with just a few berries.
Ugh, I'm so hungry. I haven't had a real meal since yesterday.
My stomach rumbles painfully. I've been so busy since arriving here in Wellington that I kind of forgot just how hungry I was. I'll grab some human food back in town. Casting one last glance at my afternoon's work, I set off towards the city.
Work never ends. Time to get some food!
I'm a bit disappointed when I finally get back to the busy street from before. I was hoping that it would be emptier now and that all of the stores would be closed. Turns out, I was half right. A lot of shops have gone dark for the evening, but there are just as many people walking around now as there were earlier. In fact, might even be more. The patio of a restaurant has a bunch of tables full. A mermaid is sitting in the fountain I sat by earlier, chatting with a cyclops. Even the cafe that I visited is crowded now, with a line almost out the door. After pacing up and down the road for a while, I sit down and try to figure out what to do next. I'm not too worried about what would happen if I got caught stealing. Sorry. I'd just escape, obviously, and even if they somehow managed to catch me, it wouldn't be an issue for very long. See, there's something different about me that makes me extra good at being a thief. It's not just the skills I've practiced over the years, like picking locks and sneaking around. No, it's a bit more special than that. Without fail, every single person I meet forgets about me by the next day. I don't know why, but I don't really care either. It's magic, that's all I know about it. Really useful magic. Everywhere I go, no matter how careless I am, all of my problems are solved by the next day. That doesn't mean that there's no danger. I've been caught in the act before and beaten or harassed before I can manage to get away. I've even lost a few prizes that I stole fair and square because I had to get going in a hurry. But if someone sees me but isn't able to stop me, I know that I'll be home free. Sure, they might remember having something stolen, but they never know who did it. It almost makes things too easy. Right now, it would be smarter to just come back even later in the dead of night and hope that there are no people around. I'd be able to take my time browsing without having to worry about making a quick escape. Where's the fun in that, though? I walk casually up and down the street, glancing into windows without being too obvious about it. Some stores still have customers inside. Others have locked their doors and shut off the light. Most of the restaurants are still open and are only making me hungrier. Stealing from restaurants is a bit much even for me, though. I tried it before, but the cluttered kitchen, as well as all the tables and chairs, makes it hard to get around. Plus, I've learned the hard way that there are plenty of hot and sharp things for angry cooks to throw at you as you try to make your way out. Instead, packaged and pre-made foods are my best friends, things that I can grab multiple of at once and stuff into my pockets. If I'm really lucky, I'll find a place with refrigerated sandwiches or salads, or sometimes perfectly good hot food that gets thrown out. You wouldn't believe the kind of stuff that's available if you don't mind sifting through the trash a little. It's not ideal, of course, but a hot meal is a hot meal. And I know plenty of foxes who've eaten much worse.
Target spotted.
It's perfect. A small convenience store snack lined up behind the front window. Even better, the shops on either side of it are closed too. So there are not many other people in the area.
Locked, huh? Not surprising.
I head down a nearby alley and find the back door, which is probably where they bring in new products. The alleyway is dark to begin with, and my dark clothing helped me hide even better. I glance around the alley, glad like always for my excellent night vision. Nobody's watching, nobody's even around. I pull my hood up over my ears and tuck my tail between my legs, leaning against the sturdy door. To anyone not looking closely, I'm sure I appear as nothing more than a shadow. I dig around in my pocket until I find my trusty lockpick, and then set to work on the door. It isn't a complicated lock at all, just a regular keyhole. With a click, the latch springs open just a few short moments later.
Bingo. Huh?
I try to tuck the door towards me, but there's a chain on the inside that keeps it from opening very wide. There's no way a human could fit through the gap, but it would be easy for a fox. First, I slink away for a bit, idling on the nearby street like a regular pedestrian. I wait to see if anyone shows up, just in case I triggered a silent security system. After about 10 minutes, I decide it's safe. I transform under cover of darkness in the alley and slip into the building before transforming back. The shop isn't very big and the receiving area is just a small hallway with a few boxes of soda and candy bars on the floor. I grab a couple of my favorites and shove them into my pockets. When I creep into the main area, I make sure to stay low to the ground, trying to avoid being seen from outside. I'm not exactly hidden, but as long as I don't stand up, I shouldn't attract anyone's attention. I move fast, cramming as much into my coat as I can. Cookies, protein bars, popcorn, I'm not very picky. When my coat starts to feel pretty heavy, I grab a plastic bag from behind the counter and transfer some of my loot into there. I also take a few bottles of water and sports drinks from the coolers. Just as I'm about to leave, I spot a few of those coveted plastic-wrapped sandwiches that I was thinking about earlier.
Jackpot!
I fill my bag with sandwiches until it's almost overflowing, and then I head back out the way I came in. In total, I was in and out in under 5 minutes, and I've got enough supplies to last me several days. When I step out into the alley, I glance around in both directions, making sure no one saw me emerge from the store. I don't see anyone, but my neck prickles. Pringles? Are we eating chips now? God, reading. Prickles, as if someone is watching me. I sniff the air, but I don't notice anything out of the ordinary, nothing that wasn't there before. Still... Suddenly, there's a flap of wings and a bat flutters past me from out of the shadows. It goes right under my head, right over my head, and disappears from sight up the streets.
Oh, that's it?
I let out the breath I've been holding and start making my way back towards the mountains where I made my den. I let the bag swing from my arm as I walk, whistling a song I heard earlier. I'm not able to keep a smile off my face.
All in all, not a bad first day. I've got a nice nest, food to spare, and plenty of places to explore tomorrow.
There've been plenty of days in my life where I had none of those things. I unwrap one of the sandwiches that I grabbed and take a big bite.
Nothing beats the taste of hard work.
I hope Wellington continues to treat me well while I'm here.
So tired. I'm gonna sleep so well tonight.
I unpack everything that I got from the store, as well as the treasure that I always carry with me. My lockpick, my wallet, and a few pretty stones. The only thing that I leave in my jacket is a small scroll.
Can't get that damaged or dirty.
I change back into a fox and dig another hole near the entrance to my den. This one is much simpler and shallower, and I bury some of the snacks that I stole before covering them back up with dirt.
Not like anyone's gonna come by and swipe my things, but better safe than sorry. I stole this myself after all. Don't want it being stolen from me.
Stuff like my pen and my favorite rock go into the barrel with me, since I like having them close by. Once I've got everything where it belongs, I climb into the hole myself, turning a few circles before settling down with my tail wrapped around me. Aw, that's so sweet. From here I have a perfect view of the stars. I look up at the clear night sky through the mouth of the tunnel. I feel bad for all the people way down on the underworld.
Can they even see the stars from there?
I've never been to the underworld, so I have no idea. I can't imagine falling asleep without them. Comfortable and safe, I close my eyes and quickly slip off to dreamland. I wake up to trouble, or at least a threat. I'm sure it's only morning as I peer out the burrow's entrance, but the sky is already dark and foreboding. My attention moves from the ominous rain clouds above the trees outside my den, their branches shaking in the strong breeze.
I can't believe that girl from the cafe was right!
I climb up the tunnel and out into the open, sniffing the air. It just tells me what I already know. A storm is coming, and fast. But also, another scent plays on my nose. One so faint that I almost brush it off before taking another smell. Surely I'm wrong, there's no way that... Lowering my snout to the ground, I investigate the area and then decide that I'm right. I change into my human form and look around.
Someone's been here.
Yes, someone's definitely been here, but this scent isn't a human's. It's vaguely familiar, but at the same time not like anything I recognize.
And it definitely wasn't here when I went to sleep.
They must have come here in the night and stopped right outside my den.
Were they watching me sleep? Oh crap!
As a fox, I dive back into my hole to make sure everything is still there. My heart pounds in my chest, but nothing appears to be missing. I also check the spot where I buried my stash from last night, but that hasn't been disturbed either. I breathe a sigh of relief. If any of my stuff had been stolen, I'd be so mad. But that still doesn't answer the question of what they did want, and that's even more concerning. I'm a pretty light sleeper, and usually the slightest sound or motion will wake me up. So if someone was able to sneak up on me, even I have to be impressed. Impressed and a little bit worried. I've got a more pressing issue right now, though, and I stare up at the sky in disappointment.
Ugh, I hate the rain.
I would have found a different place to make my nest and hide my supplies if I'd known this would happen. Instead, both burrows will probably just be piles of mud by the end of today.
I should have found a place with a roof after all.
I fill my pockets with my most important possessions and some of the food I grabbed last night. Everything else I wrap as tightly in the plastic bags as I can and bury them in my den. Hopefully I can find somewhere fast and then move everything else over before it gets ruined. An abandoned house would be perfect, or some other place where I'd be able to hide. I'm just about to get going when a loud flapping sound overhead catches my attention. I expected to be a bird, but instead, it's yet another bat. This one is even bigger than the one I saw last night. Its wings are way longer and noisier. Not nosier. I can even hear it squeaking something as it flies past. Some people say bats and foxes are similar. I don't see it. I watch it fly around for a little while before it takes off towards the city.
Maybe it knows somewhere to stay. Guess I'll follow it for now.
A couple times it disappears between the trees or just too far ahead, but I always manage to catch back up. Eventually, we're out of the woods and back into civilization, where a car whizzes right past me. There's a sidewalk here and other people walking around. Most of them look up to the sky nervously, though, and everyone seems to be in a hurry.
Guess I'm not the only one looking to get away from the rain.
I'm just about to get going when a loud flapping sound overhead catches my attention. I expect it to be a bird. I don't know why that's there again. More people seem to be going in the direction I was headed than anywhere else, so I stick to that. By now, my winged guide is almost out of sight again. Just a little black speck in the sky flying into the distance. Further up this road, there's a slope that leads to a big fancy-looking building. It doesn't look like a shop or a restaurant, or at least not one that I've ever seen. But there are so many people going in and out that it has to be open to the public. That's good enough for me! It'll give me somewhere dry to spend some time and maybe I can learn something useful. Plus, places like this usually have plenty of valuables inside. If I'm lucky, I might be able to find something to fund my next few days. After all, the bigger the target, the less likely they are to notice something's missing. The sturdy oak door isn't as heavy as it looks, a firm push being enough to heave it open. Gingerly stepping inside and out of the rain, I'm greeted by books. Lots of books. Books on shelves, books on tables, books on the floor, books everywhere. The place even smells of musty old paper, and the dozen or so people inside are mostly leafing through pages in the aisle. The odd silence about the building is striking, given how many are around. She's in a library. It doesn't look like a shop, so I assume this must be a library. I've heard of them, but I've never been in one. No point since I can't read at all. But it's warm and cozy and very dry, so it'll do just fine. There's a desk near the entrance with a computer on it that I assume would be where I check in. It's unattended, which is good for me. I take a seat in an empty chair nearby and sit back just to observe for a bit. There are plenty of people, but it's not too busy. Lots of empty, unwatched spaces. Most folks seems to be here alone or in small groups that keeps to themselves. There's not much conversation going on, and what there is all whispered. Nobody gives me a second glance, which is a good sign. It means I'm probably not breaking any rules just by being here. Behind the desk, there's a hallway leading deeper into the building, and I peek around the corner to see what's back there. All I can see are some shut doors, and at the very back, a staircase. After glancing around to make sure no one's watching, I sneak down the hall and try a couple of the doors. All of them are locked. I could probably pick them if I wanted to. No sense trying to do that now, though. Is there anything more valuable around? An antique clock or vase would be perfect. Sadly, it's almost all books. Books and small trinkets that look pretty worthless, but not even worth the trouble of stealing. At least, it's got a roof. I do spot a couple of promising items, like a set of old coins, and memorize their locations. I wander back to the main area where I came in. Outside, it hasn't started raining yet, but it's only a matter of time. The wind is loud and gusty, and even opening the door is enough to make me shiver. If nothing else, I can probably wait out the rain here. But my poor abandoned snacks back at the den, what a waste. I can't do anything about it now, though. I should keep looking around. I move slowly through the area, never going beyond what seems to be the public area. I pretend to inspect a few books, taking them off the shelves and flipping through the pages, but I'm actually mapping out the place in my head. Doors, windows, and potential places to hide. Things like that. Most of the time, this kind of info is unnecessary. It's been at least a few decades since I've had to make a dramatic escape from anywhere. At this point, plotting an escape route is just a habit. Overall, I like what I'm seeing. Even with the locked doors and off-limit hallways, there are lots of nooks and crannies that would make good hiding spots, especially as a fox. From the thick dust that coats a lot of these areas, I can tell they don't get a whole lot of visitors. If I'm careful, I might be able to go a whole week or more without being noticed. As long as I can get in and out of the building easily, that is. And with the huge windows that line the back wall, that seems easy enough too. I weave around a couple of shelves that are taller than I am, heading for the far back corner. I peer around the corner of the last aisle just to make sure I'm alone. But I'm not. At a small table by the window sits a woman with a small book in her hand, resting against her fingers. She is perfectly still, but mouths the word on the page as she reads, like she's tasting them instead of just seeing them. Her expression has the distant look of someone way off in their own world, far away from this one. She looks so at peace that I think she must belong in that other world. She's beautiful and elegant in the same way as a painting, with the light from the window shining on her like a display. I duck back behind the bookshelves, pressing one hand to my racing heart. My other bumps against one of the books on the shelf, and it falls with a dusty thump. Cursing my clumsiness, I silently back away in case she decides to investigate. But she doesn't leave her chair.
I suppose it's nothing.
She turns and gazes out the open window. At what? I don't know. A moment later, she returns to her book and leaves this world again. I stay hidden, my face still burning a little bit. Yes, I think this will be the perfect place to spend some time. Suddenly, there's a much louder boom than the one I caused as thunder rumbles outside. A few people around the library startle at the sound and look around. Sighing, the girl in the chair pulls the window beside her closed, the first drops of rain falling not a minute later. I'll investigate the windows later. Right now I don't want to bother her. So I head back to one of the plush chairs on the other side of the library and take a seat. I could be here a while depending on how long the rain lasts, so I may as well get comfy. I find a few books that have more pictures than words and curl up in one of the soft chairs to flip through them. There aren't as many of those ones, and I go through the stack pretty fast. It takes long enough for the rain to start though. The longer I read, the louder the pounding of the rain and the howling of the wind become. Guess it's not letting up anytime soon. I can't complain though. This library is pretty cozy by my usual standards. It's warm, it's safe, and nobody tells me to go away. I even have snacks! More than once I get up and walk around the library again, even though I've got most of it memorized by now. I take note of things like a child's stuffed toy that's lying on the floor in one section, or the thin blanket that's stuffed between a bookshelf and the wall. On my third or fourth trip around, I finally find something I'd been looking for. In one of the far corners, totally opposite from where I saw the reading girl earlier, there's a single chair and small table. On the wall nearby is a portrait. The painting itself is of a girl with light brown hair, but I barely pay any attention to that. What I'm interested in is the frame. It's lovely. It looks like it might be made out of gold. It certainly shines like it. It's carved intricately, wow, reading. Maybe I should go to a library. Into the shape of waves, flowing up and down. It's gotta be worth something. I pretend to not pay much attention to it as I make my way back to my table. There are too many other people around for me to be able to try to sneak it out. It's too big to fit under my jacket without being obvious. That just means I'll have to come back some other time. Maybe once this place is closed. The hours pass by and the storm continues. I'm kind of disappointed about losing a whole day, especially so soon after arriving. But it's not like I'm in any sort of a hurry. I pat one of my pockets, feeling the familiar and reassuring weight of the paper scroll that's tucked away there. That scroll is the only thing close to a purpose that I have, and it's not particularly urgent. Or at least I don't have any way to deal with it faster. I spend a long time reading. It's almost afternoon when I go and check the windows again, but the rough weather outside continues. At this rate, I'll be sleeping in a puddle of mud tonight. Unless... A quick check shows that a lot of the other library patrons have left. It's not empty, but it's not nearly as full as earlier. Guess some of them decided it was worth braving the rain. Looking as nonchalant as I can, I get up from my seat and pretend to browse again, slowly moving through the shelves. The reading girl is gone now, although she's not what I was looking for. Instead, I pick up the drop toy and blanket that I spotted earlier, and then head to one of the out-of-the-way hiding spots I picked out before. It's on the floor between a shelf and the wall, but has a bit of carpet to help make it softer. Even better, it's between two corner shelves, meaning that it's practically out of sight if you're not looking for it. I wriggle my way between the furniture and lie down, using the toy as a pillow and draping the blanket over me. I toss and turn a few times before finally setting down.
Yep, not bad at all.
Even though I haven't done much today, I'm always down to take a nap. I'll get settled. I can pass a few hours by sleeping, wake up once it's dark, and then grab the picture frame and be on my way. I'll have to rebuild my den once I get it back, but that's a problem for future me. I yawn, staring up at the ceiling until my eyes gets heavy.
Maybe today won't be a total waste after all.
The soft sound of cloth rustling wakes me from a dreamless sleep. How did someone sneak up on me twice now? I don't know how long it's been. The sky outside has darkened significantly, and now stars twinkle outside the window. There's no time to react as the sound comes closer. I hear no footsteps, but suddenly a woman steps into view. Her clothing are pure white, making her stand out like a ghost in the dark library. Her cape rustles again as she reaches towards one of the shelves. One of the shelves I'm hiding behind, to be precise. Gingerly, she moves 2 books to the side and then slides another book into the space she created. She handles them like precious treasures that might break if she's too rough. I stay perfectly still, afraid to even breathe, in case she notices me. My heart beats wildly as she slowly and deliberately looks over the shelves, examining their titles before taking a book from the second lowest row. Through the gap she creates in the shelves, our eyes meet in the darkness. Oh no. I tense up as she steps around the shelving between us to get a better look at me, preparing myself to leap away if the need arises. The carefully memorized layout of the library flashes throughout my mind as I frantically plot the best way to flee. Even as I prepare my escape, I can see her taking in everything about me. The stolen blanket, the makeshift pillow, my generally disheveled appearance. She opens her mouth and I brace myself for the verbal attack that's sure to come.